Protect the flock, we rally in the lion's den. Shield to shield, the storm is thundering. Unleash the roar, let the lions run towards the night until the battle's won.
All right, welcome back to the Lion's Den. We're going to be dealing with 6-day counts. We're going to be reading some more. I'm already so bored of reading, just the thought of reading. I've already had to start this thing over 2 or 3 times because I keep yawning. Even right as I turn it on. Right as I turn it on, I start yawning, and so I had to cut it and delete it and start it over again. So that's the reason I'm laughing, is because just the thought of reading gets me yawning. And so, but we're going to make it through this book. I promise you, we're going to make it through this book. So, yeah, welcome back to the Lion's Den. We're going to do some more 6-day count. And so, here's what I think is going to happen. Talking about 6-day count. At the end of this booklet, when I finish, I'm going to continue on with route protection stuff. Okay, I did a lot of that in the other podcast. I'm going to just bring that over here. And we're going to do a lot of route protection things, okay? As much as I can come up with, I'm going to put it on here, because here's what I think is going to happen. And this is complete speculation on my part. I have no idea. I think they already know that they're going to do a route adjustment process, a joint route adjustment process in the beginning of the new year. I think that's going to happen. I think that they're fine-tuning those things as we speak. And the 6-day counts will carry on because management will keep doing those things. These things are coming from headquarters. Your district, your area, your local, they have nothing to do with these things. These mandates are coming down from headquarters because they're using what they call DSR. And they're saying that these stations are very light. Go in there and get this time. That's what's happening now, and I do know that for a fact. And so, like my station, for instance, before they even did the 6-day count, they said they're going to take out 32 hours. That came from headquarters. JB intercepted that email where headquarters was saying, these are the stations we're going to come into, and this is the amount of time we're going to take out. In my station, it showed 32 hours, and I think they ended up getting an hour. My carriers did very, very, very well during the 6-day count. But headquarters is sending down these mandates with these times. What I think is going to happen, I could be wrong, in the fall. Now, they can't use June, July, and August. They can't use that data. Okay, so in the fall, what I think is going to happen, I think headquarters will send down that they're going to take out as many routes as possible, legit or not. Take out as many routes as possible. You're probably going to have some verbiage on a memo coming out at the beginning of the year, a joint process, that any grievances pending DRT, any grievances pending arbitration, those grievances will be handed over to a district lead, and they will be handled with the new process, with data from the new process, okay? I think that's what's going to happen. Management, they will make a ton of money taking all these routes. Even if all of them get put back in, they'll make a lot of money because you're taking out routes. That's bodies, okay? So where we get management is, it's a great expenditure. The 6-day count is one of the biggest expenditures that they do, because you're going to have a team of however many. If you got 50 routes, they're going to have 25 managers. They're going to have to put them up. There's a per diem, all the mileage and all these things there. That's a great expenditure. Then if they screw it up, which normally they do, we can grieve it. That's the reason I love 6-day counts, is because I can grieve a 6-day count. I can't grieve a joint process. When you grieve it, if these routes, they take out 6 routes, and the data showed they should take out 2, and we show that these routes are overburdened for a period of 6 months, and we say, hey, we're going to hit them for $10 a calendar day until they come back and make these routes 8 hours, that's a lot of money. And that's how we used to do it back in the day when they were doing 6-day counts. We were very successful grieving 6-day counts. Most people like a joint process because it's both parties getting together doing it. I just am very leery of something that I can't grieve, because as a carrier, that's the only protection I have. People say, well, we're on the joint process. I don't care. We saw too many issues with TRAP I love a process that I can grieve because I'm a city letter carrier. And when you take that away from me, it only benefits one party, management, because they don't grieve anything. We do. And so when you take away the grievance process from anything, that will ultimately negatively affect the city letter carrier. And that's how I feel. But I don't know any of that to be true. But that's just what I feel. I feel like they already have a joint process in place. They're fine-tuning that thing. They'll probably roll it out at the beginning of the year. I hope and pray, if that's the case, they educate us. They did not do that with 1982, 83, and 84. The national did not educate us, let us know what was coming so that we could get ready. I hope that they do better this next time around. Remember, we got very upset on the memos 1982, 83, 84. We got very upset with that because we were blindsided with it. And don't let that happen. Somebody leak that out to me, and I'll put it out. If you like me, don't like me, I don't care. Leak it out to me and say, hey, there is a process coming. Y'all be ready. Educate the people, and I'll do that. All right. But at the end of this booklet, like I said, at the end of reading this, I'm going to continue on with route protection stuff, and I'll just do that as long as I have to make sure that the city letter carriers are getting every second that they can. All right. It's very important. Like I say, routes are bodies. That's a brother and sister. And when we lose routes, that means we lose people. And I don't like losing people. All right. We need as many as we can. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to read 20 pages only. However long that takes, I'm going to read 20 pages. All right. And I'm going to try not to yawn. But it was just funny because I've had to start this thing over 3 or 4 times because as soon as I said, welcome back to the Lions Den, I started yawning just looking at this stuff I'm fixing to read. So here we go. Picking up from last week, PS Form 1838C. The example we will use in this description is below. You may find it useful to pull this page out so you can refer to it while reading this section. And they have the 1838C there listed. This is the form a letter carrier will fill out every day during the week of route count and inspection, except for the day of inspection. It records all of the functions performed in the office. On the day of inspection, a manager will complete the form. If a carrier's route is scheduled for inspection on more than one day, management will still only complete the form on one of those days pursuant to the MOU regarding multiple days of inspection. The information recorded on Form 1838 is taken directly from Form 1838C. It is important for you to get copies of them to verify the accuracy of Form 1838. Form 1838C will identify the post office, delivery unit, and route number across the top of the form. On the bottom of the form, you can see who completed the form, the date, and what day of the week it was completed. If the letter carrier completes the form, you can also see if it was the regular carrier or replacement carrier. There is only one exception to this rule. The form in the example above was completed by Steve Jones on Wednesday, April 25th, 2012. However, Steve Jones was the route examiner and filled out the form on the day of inspection. We will now go over the form so you understand what information is recorded and where. We will first review the mail count line of the form. This includes blocks number 1 through 13. Line 1, letter size mail is divided into 4 different columns: AM, PM, carrier markup, and CFS, computerized forwarding system. When a carrier counts and records the mail, AM means before he/she leaves for the street, and PM means after he/she returns from the street. Marked up mail is any mail the carrier writes on. That means if a correction is made on a piece of CFS mail or any carrier endorsement such as NSN or deceased or any other notation is made, each piece is counted and entered on the form under carrier marked up. CFS mail not corrected and undeliverable mail within the endorsed bundles are counted and recorded in the CFS column. For example, if you have 10 pieces of UTF unable to forward, mail and you only write on the top piece, 1 piece is recorded in the carrier markup column and 9 pieces are recorded in the CFS column. Line 2, mail of all other sizes, also has separate columns for AM, PM, carrier marked up, and CFS mail. Line 3, accountable and signature mail includes columns for recording AM accountable mail, PM accountable mail, and marked up accountable mail. Accountable and signature mail is divided into the subcategories of registered, certified, COD, customs, postage dues, and express mail. Line 5, all parcel post over 2 pounds has columns for parcels counted in the AM and PM. In addition, there are columns for carrier marked up and CFS parcels. Line 6 is for recording all sequenced and collated letter size and or other size mail which is not cased. Line 7A, DPS volume pieces is for mail sorted in delivery point sequence only. Any other letter mail arriving in the DPS that is cased should be recorded as cased volume on line 1 of Form 1838C. Line 9 is for counting the number of marked up second class pieces for which Form 3579 is not filled out. Line 10 is for recording the number of pieces of mail with Form 3579 attached. This line is never used because we no longer use Form 3579. Line 12 is for recording the number of change of addresses processed. Line 13 is for recording the number of insured receipts turned in. Next, let's review the clock ring section of the form. It is located at the bottom right corner of the form entitled Time Clock Rings. On the days of mail count, letter carriers swipe the clock in and out as usual. They will also record those times on Form 1838C worksheet. The clock rings begin at the bottom of this line and continue up from there. Clock rings in this line are the only times recorded in hundredths. Normally, there will be 4 clock ring entries: begin tour, leave for street, return from street, and end of tour. The final section is the actual time entries column, which is the long vertical column on the right side of the form. Each actual time entry has 3 separate parts. 1. The left-hand column, the line item for which the entry was made. 2. The middle column, the beginning and end times for each line item. 3. The right-hand column, the elapsed time in minutes for each line item. Time entries for the line items begin at the bottom of the vertical column where you see the words "Begin Here." Each entry has a time for beginning marked B and a time for ending marked E. To the right of each pair of beginning and ending times is a separate box for elapsed time. This is for entering the total minutes spent on the particular line item. A list of the numbered line items, each with an explanation, is found on the bottom left of Form 1838C worksheet. To the right of this list is the comments section where line item comments are recorded. Lines 14 through 19 and 23 do not require an explanation in the comments section. Lines 21 and 22 require an explanation of the function in the comments section as shown below. The explanation tells exactly what office function the carrier performed during those times. Each function is described by line item, number, and words. Line 21 is used for any recurring office functions not listed in lines 14 through 19. Generally speaking, if a letter carrier performs a task at least on a weekly basis, it should be considered recurring. Any time spent on a line 21 function should be described in the comment box. A few examples are shown in the box above. When making line 21 entries, each one must be identified in the comments section in the following manner. The first line 21 function should be labeled 21A, the next one 21B, and so on. Now I'm going to read that again, all right? Because a problem that you'll run into on 6-day counts is management says a recurring thing is done every day, right? Every single day is the only time you can say that something's recurring. I'm going to read this again. Line 21 is used for any recurring office functions not listed in lines 14 through 19. Generally speaking, if a letter carrier performs a task at least on a weekly basis, it should be considered recurring. I'll read that again. Generally speaking, if a letter carrier performs a task at least on a weekly basis, it should be considered recurring. And that's a grievance that we will file if management says that if it has to be done every single day to be recurring. All right, when we talk about instant grievances, that's something that we will look at there. Management is stating that on this form, only things that happen daily can be considered recurring. So that's something that we'll talk to our shop stewards about or branch presidents about, that management is telling us that they're not going to count these things because they're not done on a daily basis. All right, this says a weekly basis. So when making line 21 entries, each one must be identified in the comments section in the following manner. The first line 21 function should be labeled 21A, the next one 21B, and so on. And they got examples up here. 21A, pick up your scanner. 21B, throwback case. 21C, retrieve parcel hamper. 21D, safety talk. 21E, scan hot case. 21F, handle collection mail. 21G, 3M and throwback case. And so those are examples they gave there. Line 22 is a lot like 21, but the activities it covers are not recurring. Non-continuing office functions, as stated above. Any office function performed at least on a weekly basis is recurring and should not be recorded on line 22. The carrier will not receive any credit for items recorded on line 22. This time will be deleted from the route evaluation. Line 22 activities are recorded using the same method as line 21 entries. Actual time entries are made by the carrier to record the time spent performing them. Each is described in the comments box in the same manner as line 21 entries. Once again, the difference is that line 21 entries count in the route evaluation and line 22 entries do not count. And line 23 covers time spent counting mail and filling out Form 1838C. This time is non-recurring and therefore will be deducted from the total office evaluation like line 22 entries. And what I always say is, tell your carriers to make sure they add up line 22 and line 23. Make sure that they add those times up, because whatever those times are, you've got to make that back up. If line 22 and line 23 add up to 30 minutes, you're 30 minutes behind. If you get done at 8 hours on the dot, you're 30 minutes under. Is that making sense? Because 22 and 23, they don't count. So make sure they're adding up line 22 and 23. If that's 30 minutes, you got to get that 30 minutes back because you're already 30 minutes behind the 8 ball. All right? In the example, you can see that the route examiner recorded verify hold mail as a line 22 function. Line 22 is for non-recurring functions, so the carrier will not receive credit for this time. Handling hold mail is a recurring function and should have been recorded on line 21, and you will see that a lot, I promise you. You will see where management will put down things like verify hold mail, line 22. Things that are recurring every week, they're going to say every day. Every week, verify your hold mail. All right, so make sure that we're paying attention to those forms when we get them back. You will also notice the carrier was only given 1 minute time credit on line 21 for a safety talk that you know normally takes 5 minutes or so. One way to check it out is to compare the time recorded on other routes for the same safety talk. These are the kind of problems that should be investigated. When something looks fishy on a Form 1838C, The best place to start is to request to interview the letter carrier involved. Note, the accuracy of the information on this form has a direct effect on the office evaluation of a route. It is important for letter carriers, stewards, and NELC representatives to do everything possible to make sure the form is accurately filled out each day. PS Form 1838. The example we will use in this description is below. You may find it useful to pull this page out so you can refer to it while reading this section. The Form 1838 is a daily picture of the data collected during a route inspection. Every day during the count week, there will be one Form 1838 completed for each route. The data that is collected on Form 1838C is totaled and transferred to Form 1838, where further calculations are made. The Form 1838 lists the same data contained on Form 1838C for a route from a particular day during the week of route count and inspection. It shows how much office time a letter carrier actually used. It is also used to calculate standard office time based on the information collected on Form 1838C. This information is used to identify how many minutes the letter carrier was over or under standard office time for the day. The Form 1838 also shows how much street time credit is given to a route for that day. All this office and street time information is transferred from the Form 1838 to Form 1840 for each route. A detailed description of Form 1840 begins on page 121 of this guide. It is important to review the Forms 1838 for accuracy following a route count and inspection. Pay particular attention to the Form 1838 completed for the day or days a route examiner accompanies a letter carrier on the route during the week of inspection. We're going to walk you through Route 55064 on previous page, explain how to read Form 1838, and show you why paying attention to this report is so important. The top right-hand corner of the form shows the day of the week and the date the Form 1838 covers. In this case, it was Wednesday, April 25th, 2012. The next line shows the post office, delivery unit and zip code, and the route number. On the form you're looking at, it shows that this Form 1838 is from Washington, D.C. Post Office. The delivery unit and zip code are North Station, 2055 9998, and the route number is 5564. To help you understand what happens with the information provided on Form 1838, below is a snapshot of the corresponding Form 1840 from the week of route count and inspection for Route 5564. It is included in the Forms Description section of this book. Below is the data recorded on Form 1840 for the day of our example. On this Form 1840, you can see that Wednesday was the day of inspection, where a route examiner is with the letter carrier all day. For Route 5564, the letter I that is located to the left of the word Wednesday indicates that this was the day of inspection. If you look at Wednesday under column A on this Form 1840, you can see that management has recorded 1 hour and 29 minutes of office time. The standard office time, column B for this day, is recorded as 1 hour and 37 minutes. Column D displays the difference in these two office time calculations as 8 minutes under standard. Column E reveals that management determined the carrier had a net street time used of 6 hours and 14 minutes on this day. Management got these numbers from the Form 1838. The question is, can we count on this information to be correct? The answer is no. You should always go behind these numbers to verify that the information is correct. Oftentimes, you'll find management made errors or pulled some other shenanigans. In some cases, you'll find both, and I promise you, you will find both because they are in there for one reason and one. Listen, if headquarters is telling them they want to take out an excessive amount of hours and your station doesn't show it, how are they going to do that? because they don't want to go back and tell headquarters that they failed them and taken out these hours. How are they going to do that? They're going to falsify these forms, these numbers, this data. Just like street waiting time, you're going to find a tremendous amount of time on street waiting time where they have stolen from us. There are other things you're going to find where they steal from us because they're trying to fit that square peg in a round hole, right, with these 6-day counts. They're going to try to come in there and steal all this time so they can make headquarters numbers that are based solely off of nothing. This DSR data that they cannot use. And so, yes, you need to spend a great amount of time looking over these forms. Ask a lot of questions of the carrier, all right, because you're going to find time we need to get put back into these routes. The following is a description of how the numbers on Form 1840 were generated, beginning with the recording of mail volume. See the example of Form 1838 above. Cased mail volume is recorded in lines 1, letter size mail, and 2, mail of all other sizes. These numbers are taken directly from Form 1838C. There are separate columns for each time of day when a category of mail may be cased. A, router and or prior PM, B, today AM, and C, today PM. There are also spaces to record the number of markups and CFS pieces the carrier had for each mail type. On line 1, letter size mail, in column B, you can see that the carrier had 110 letter size pieces to case. The carrier marked up 6 letters and sent 12 more letters to CFS. The 18 pieces of CFS and markup mail are deducted from the 110, and the total is recorded in column D, which is 92 letters in this example. The standard time is calculated for the letter size mail by dividing the original 110 pieces the carrier cased by the standard of 18 letters per minute. The results are always rounded up, if less than a whole minute, so 7 minutes is recorded in column F. You can see there were 5 carrier markups and 5 CFS letters recorded in the Today PM column C. On line 2, mail of all other sizes, in column B, you can see that the carrier had 359 pieces of all other size mail to case. The standard time is calculated for mail of all other sizes by dividing the 359 pieces the carrier cased by the standard of 8 flats per minute. The results are always rounded up, if less than a whole minute, so 45 minutes is recorded in column F on line 2. Accountable mail is recorded on line 3. In column C, you can see this carrier had 12 pieces of accountable mail and marked up 1 piece. Line 4 is for calculating strap-out time. The cased volume is totaled and all markups and deducted. The resulting 482 pieces are divided by the pull-down standard of 70 pieces per minute. The resulting 7 minutes credit, after rounding up, is recorded in column F. These standard casing and pull-down times are added to the times recorded on Form 1838C for lines 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, and 21, plus 5 minutes for line 20. 5 minutes is always automatically credited for line 20 in order to calculate the standard office time. There are other standard office time credits such as 1 minute for every 10 pieces of all classes of mail separated for forwarding or return, including CFS, markups, and UBBM. 1 minute for every 4 pieces of mail actually marked up by the carrier. 2 minutes for each change of address recorded. You may notice a bracketed number adjacent to the times credited for certain line items. These numbers are bracketed to indicate that the time actually used by the letter carrier on this day was less than the base minimum time for that function. When standard office time is calculated, the carrier will receive credit for the base minimum time, even if it is more than the actual time used. However, if the carrier's actual time is under standard, he/she only gets credit for the actual time used. All these office time credits are totaled in minutes in line 24 shown below. The minutes are converted to hours and minutes and recorded in the standard office time box found in the middle of the right side of the form. In this example, there were 90 minutes of AM office time and 7 minutes of PM office time for a total of 1 hour and 37 minutes of standard office time. The letter carrier's total office time actually on this day was 1 hour and 31 minutes. The route examiner recorded 2 minutes of non-recurring office time, line 22. The carrier's total office time is reduced by those 2 minutes on Form 1838, resulting in a net office time of 1 hour and 29 minutes. Note, you should review Form 1838C to investigate if any and all deductions taken under line 22 were proper, and I can't emphasize that enough. You should review Form 1838C to investigate if any and all deductions taken under line 22 were proper. You've got to do that on every form. You've got to do that. Is a way that they will steal from us is under line 22 because we get no credit for it. Make sure that all the line 22 items are correct. There is no line 23 time recorded on this day, as it was the day of inspection when the route examiner completes Form 1838C. Remember, the letter carrier always has the right to verify management's count of mail on the day of inspection. In this example, the letter carrier did not exercise his or her right to do so. Recording the wrong mail volume, recording it as the wrong type of mail, or not accurately recording everything that happened each day can result in an office time that does not represent a fair evaluation of the route. If you go back and look at the 1838 again, you can follow the right-hand side of the form straight down almost to the bottom, and you'll come to a block that says total street time. This block shows that letter carrier Smith actually spent 6 hours and 32 minutes on the street time during the day of inspection. Pay careful attention to this section. Management is most likely about to steal 18 minutes of street time from letter carrier Smith's route. This form, 1838, shows 18 minutes was recorded as waiting street time in the next block down as shown on the right side of this page. The 18 minutes was then deducted from the actual time used to arrive at the net street time used of 6 hours and 14 minutes for the day. 6 hours and 14 minutes will transfer to Form 1840 as shown below, so the 18 minutes has just vanished into thin air. This 18 minutes of time will not reappear if territory from Route 5564 is transferred to another route. This time is gone forever, unless we investigate and take the appropriate action to have the time put back. Note, any deductions of time management makes should be fully investigated. Review Forms 3999, 3999X, examiner's comments, tax employee everything reports, and interview the carrier to determine what really happened. And that's the most important thing, is talk to your carriers. Just like in my station. They were deducting crazy time from my routes. But one was 45 minutes where the carrier was waiting to load his vehicle. About 20 years ago, came into my station and redid our loading dock. Well, when they redid it, they only made room for one vehicle per row. And I know that doesn't make sense because you can't see it. But what happened is when all these vehicles back up to the loading dock, you can only have like 5 or 6 vehicles loading at the same time because they completely screwed this up where we were loading. So you can only have 5 or 6 vehicles loading at a time. Well, I got 40 routes. And so I have carriers sitting there waiting to load their vehicle. That's every single day. And so these examiners were taking all that time as waiting time. 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes of waiting time. And so I went to the examiner and I said, hey, the guy that was over all of it, and I said, hey, this is something that happens every single day. This is a recurring thing, and it's not our fault. Y'all screwed this up when y'all came and made this loading dock. And so they put all the time back. But if we wouldn't have caught that, you're talking about 40 minutes lost, 30 minutes lost, even 15 minutes lost, that they were putting my carriers on waiting time for something that they legitimately do every single day. And so that's the reason it's important. It's imperative that we look at this street waiting time. If they're going to steal anything, it's going to be under street waiting time. That's just how it is. That's where they're going to steal. And I cannot emphasize that enough, to pay attention to street waiting time. All right? So that's the reading for today. 35 minutes. I'm used to like 2 hours. So 35 minutes, that's kind of a breath of fresh air, right? So we'll continue on with route protection 6-day counts. This is going to take me probably another 2 or 3 episodes to read. I'm going to read 20 pages each episode. It's probably going to take me another 2 or 3 episodes to get through this, and then we will get into route protection. All right, and we'll keep doing that as long as we have to, especially if we find out they're going to do a joint process, and hopefully somebody will leak that to us. Say, hey, get yourselves ready for a new process, and that way we can continue to educate on route protection. So that will help us. That will help us definitely. All right. So there's you another episode of the Lion's Den. Reading 20 pages. Reading 20 pages for you. All right. Hey, City Letter Carriers, I love you. I love you with all my heart. I do. And we're going to get through this together. All right. As a City Letter Carrier, I'm telling you, we're going to get through this together. All right. I will see y'all Sunday on the other podcast. And then next Wednesday, we're going to get back into some more 6-day counts. We're going to read 20 pages. All right. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. Y'all take care of yourselves. It is hot. It is hot already. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure that you're taking breaks as needed in this heat. Breaks as needed in this heat. Educate your people. Educate your CCAs. Breaks as needed in this heat. All right. And Sunday we're going to go over some heat stuff and get us ready for those grievances. But take care of yourselves out there. Be safe. Be safe. All right. I love you. I'll talk to y'all Sunday. All right.